All right, today we are going to talk about a very interesting knife that that was inspired by Tesla. So the designer of this knife got his inspiration from the Cybertruck from Tesla. And I get that. And the Cybertruck, love it or hate it, it's kind of polarizing, which, me, I didn't like the Cybertruck. My buddy thought it looked awesome. You may have similar feelings about this Cybertrix knife. We're going to talk about it here. One thing you're going to notice probably is there is no hardware here. It's a very unique hidden hardware system that we'll get into as we go through this, and we'll take this apart, not completely apart, but we will break it down in just a minute. This was loaned in from Peter over to Therapeutic Edge. Even the blade shape is Cybertruck inspired. Kind of like this is more the Cybertruck look, I think. I don't know. It's an interesting knife. It's built by Reich Knife. It kind of has some different branding, which is a little confusing. And I'm not even going to try to get into it all. ForeverSteel is the company and the designer who created the knife. Reich Knives made the knife. Declynx is another name that is a retailer for the knife. I don't even know. I tried to kind of look into it and understand it, but I couldn't. So I'm not going to try to explain it to you since I don't fully understand it myself. How about that? It did come with some interesting packaging depending on where you bought it, which again is weird. If you bought it from Reich Knives, you got just a zippered pouch in a standard like little cardboard paper box. If you bought it from Declynx / ForeverSteel, it came in a milled aluminum box that actually had 4 screws that held it closed. It was a solid block of aluminum cut in half, milled out, some foam inserted, and the knife stuck inside and literally bolted closed into that aluminum pouch or into that aluminum box. Oddly, from what I understand, it was the same price as buying it from Reich Knives with the zipper pouch. And these run at like $399. There is 2 different blade shapes. They're very similar, but a little different. I will put a picture of type A and type B over here. And it was another one that had some harder anodizing. That's one of the things on this that I saw people complaining about is the finish would get scratched up fairly easily. I'm looking at this one from Peter, and I don't really see that. I don't know how much he's carried this, if at all, but it still looks like it's in pretty good shape. Again, it's very odd and unique looking. And yeah, the pocket clip, wow. You know we're going to talk about that, right? We'll get to that in a second. But all in all, it's done really well. Reich Knives does good stuff for sure, and this is no exception. So all in all, it's well built, the fit and finish is good, and it works. It's just interesting. So let's talk about the pocket clip. It does not work in my jeans, and I've got just normal jeans. So I don't know if it works, and maybe it's just this specific one and other ones work better. I'm going to insert a video clip here, if I can, of me trying to put it in and out of my pocket. All right, so I don't know if that worked or not. We'll see. I mean, obviously I'm going to do that after I'm filming. But yeah, hopefully you saw a video of me trying to get it in and out of my pocket, because I've been called out on that before. People are like, oh, you just don't know how to put in a knife in your pocket. That's dumb, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. All right, so let's talk about the specs real quick, and then we'll take it apart a little bit. 4.5 inches closed, 7 7/8 overall, 3.3 inch blade. Blade thickness is 0.152, M390. Runs on bearings. Weighs in at 4.5 ounces. All in all, it's not a bad knife. It's very angular. It's very uncomfortable at a lot of these angles. I don't care for that. You put your hand in your pocket. Was able to get it in my pocket once. And I mean, I can get it in my pocket if I really struggle and try to get it in. But as you put your hand in and your hand brushes up against, it's uncomfortable if you put anything else in your knife pocket. I go back and forth. Depending on the knife, there may be something else in my pocket. I want to say I try not to put anything else in my knife pocket, but that's a lie. Oftentimes I put my keys at the bottom of my pocket. Yeah, so it's a thing. I got to reach in sometimes to get my house key, and it would be uncomfortable with this knife. All right, so let's talk about taking this apart. And before I do that, though, I know you've probably already seen this knife. It's been out for a little while. I, as usual, am behind the curve. I know Jim Skelton did a video on it, and Peter did his video on it, and a bunch of other people. So it just is what it is. So yeah, you get what you get from me. So how this works is this backspacer comes completely out. There's no spring or anything. You have to just push this piece up and out of the way. It's a little weird, but I will show you here in 1 second. Let me grab. The best way I did it is I did it with this little Gerber multi-tool. Just stuck it inside and pushed up until it kind of went like this. So now at this point, you have to unlock the blade because this is part of the stop pin. Once you unlock the blade, it pops out farther and it comes all the way out. So it just kind of hooks in right there. And then with tension, if I zoom in a little bit here, this just flexes ever so slightly to get it around the mechanism inside there. Okay, so now the knife will open, but it won't stop. It just goes, it overstops, and then the thumb studs actually act as the stop pin. So to open it up now, you basically just spread this apart. You spread this open a little bit and rotate it. Okay, so this nub here goes into that little recess, and that's what keeps it together. So there you go. It's designed by Declynx, ForeverSteel. What other markings do they have over here? Nothing there. And then now you've got a bunch of hardware that you can take out. And then this titanium scales pop off. This is 440 steel, 440C kind of inner chassis. But yeah, you got to take off this hardware, take off this hardware, and then you have just the chassis. And then once you take these scales off, you can get to the pivot. To me, it's really weird. It doesn't seem like it is the safest, most efficient way of breaking down a knife. Because you have to unlock the blade to do some of the action, well, now I got a blade flopping around potentially. You can put it together back with no tool here. Just kind of line this up and snap it in. Now you're good to go. It's very odd. It's like toolless with a bunch of hardware on the inside, and you need a tool to pop this off in the first place. So while it's a good design aesthetic with no hardware exposed, it's just odd to me. As you can tell, this may not be my favorite knife that I have seen all year. So here it is with the Sharpie, the Spyderco, the Kubi KB237. And since I haven't pulled this out, I mean, I did pull it out, but kind of similar. This may be polarizing to people as well. The Shargnivko Ryu. Basically very similar size. Again, some people might not love this shape and style either, but at least there's some hardware. I don't know. I'm not saying that I dislike, that I hate this knife. I just don't really get it, and I don't love it. How about that? Peter got it. I think he did a trade for it. I don't remember exactly how he acquired it, but there you go. I don't know. Let me know what you think down below. I would love to hear your thoughts.